Welcome to your Daily 5 for Thursday, June 5th, 2025. This will be a highly unusual 5 because what I'm going to talk about is a quote that may or may not have actually been given. This is based on something I've seen on Blue Sky throughout yesterday and today and people going back and forth on it. Who, by the time this may have been debunked or it may have been, there's no way to really confirm it because it's being attributed to somebody who's not alive anymore. But essentially, you may be familiar with the actress Natasha Lyonne, I think it's supposed to be pronounced, who currently is known for being in Poker Face. I think she was in that Russian doll film. She's popped up here and there in different things. And a lot of people are upset with her because she is embracing AI filmmaking in some way. I don't even know specifically what she's doing with it. And recently a quote came up, which does to some degree feel like something that may have been invented to try to brush off some of the negative attention she's gotten, but also is something I could actually believe was said. So apparently before he died, David Lynch was Natasha Lyonne's neighbor, and at one point she asked him his opinion about AI. And here is the quote that is being attributed to him. Again, David Lynch is no longer here, so I don't know if there's any way to invalidate or confirm that this was actually the quote, but here it is. Quote, Natasha, this is a pencil. Everyone has access to a pencil, and likewise, everyone with a phone will be using AI if they aren't already. It's how you use the pencil, you see? End quote. Now, a lot of people are debating whether this is even something that David Lynch would have said, because he both, depending on when you caught him at different quotes, hated the idea of modern technology and how people used it, but also was very willing to embrace it. So, again, I can actually see this quote being something that he would have said, but what I think most people are doing, from what I've read of the discourse over this, the word discourse and now how we use it, many people seem to be interpreting this as David Lynch saying, AI is fine, so what? It's a tool like any other. And they seem to be taking that as his position being everything can be pro-AI, essentially. And I don't think I read this quote that way. I think I read this quote the way that I pretty much have, and maybe this is me projecting, it's very possible, but it feels like what I have said about all these generative tools, that they are in fact just tools, or, as Lynch supposedly put it, pencils. They don't actually do anything. A pencil does not make you an artist. You can buy the most expensive artistic graphite or whatever, charcoal pencil, and you can sit there with the most expensive piece of art paper ever made, and if you can't conjure an idea, it doesn't matter how great those tools are. What you have is an expensive pencil and an expensive piece of paper. That's not what creativity is. The tools are nothing. People made art out of, back in the caveman days, they were painting with blood and feces, and it's still considered the great works that are on these cave walls. Not necessarily because they're great works, but because they were the first works of creativity that we saw, where people were doing painting. Did the tools matter? Did the materials matter? No. There are many famous works that were made with materials that would be considered pedestrian or not even being used appropriately in terms of what people considered as creative tools. People generate art from anything. And conversely, the greatest artistic tools in the world will not give you the ability to create anything. And that's what these generative tools are in the creative space. They're nothing. They are a tool. That's all they are. Past the actual tools, what the ethics around their use and how they're trained and all that, you can have debates and discussions about that, absolutely. But stripping all that away, fundamentally what you're talking about is just a prompt sitting there. If there's nothing coming from you to it, and if all that's coming out of it is you typing some words and just taking whatever it outputs, that's not creative anything. And so, like I said, whether this quote is real or not, whether it was ever said, whatever the meaning is, all that stuff we're never going to know because David Lynch isn't here anymore unless it was captured on video or audio somewhere, which I've seen nothing indicating that it is. This could be completely made up or it could be completely true. But the quote as it stands, assuming it was said, is absolutely correct. And that's what makes me think it probably was something that Lynch said, because it is in fact stating what most people should already know about these tools. And that is that they aren't anything in and of themselves. Creativity is not the tool. Creativity is what you do with the tool. So it is all about the pencil. You see? Later.